We are back once again. Trying to get one in whenever I can, but my schedule has a limit to how often I can do this. And I also require live game as material from which to cast. But regardless, Darius nasus top. Darius has been pretty popular, huh? Popping up. I think in like more than half of these games there's been a Darius top. Oh boy. Warwick against... Ooh, I dropped something. I hope that didn't come too loud on the recording. I dropped my phone. Warwick versus Nunu in the jungle. Akali versus Diana. Classic assassin matchup. Should be very explosive, very exciting. Both sides actually running Conqueror. Sivir, Caitlyn, Leona, Blitzcrank. Kate Blitz could be pretty terrifying. There's a potentially brutal lockdown if you get hit by the hook into a trap, and you can just die if you're not careful. However, Sivir does have a tendency to treat Caitlyn traps as if they were just mana potions. And Leona doesn't really care if she gets grabbed most of the time. She's Leona. So I'm actually tempted to already give the bot lane advantage to red team. Just because Caitlyn Blitz is just looking at the role wise, not the best picks into each other. Caitlyn does have a significant range advantage on the Sivir. But when it actually comes down to a 2v2 scenario, before the lane can develop to a point where Caitlyn lands sufficient poke, which is dangerous in the presence of a Leona, by the way. In a straight up 2v2, I don't see Sivir Leona actually losing the trades. Caitlyn can simply abuse her range and be oppressive in the early game, but remains to be seen how effective it can be. So, let's get into it. Without further ado, everyone seems to be starting off nice and simple. Darius is actually going for a Doran's Blade top lane. nasus starting cloth 4. I'm tempted to say cloth 5 because that phrase has stuck so long, but no, nowadays it's cloth 4. Warwick doing the classic no potion start because he's Warwick, but early MA coming in. You gotta expect it with a Blitzcrank. Excellent dodge sideways by the Akali. No casualties from this hook. Boomerang Blade will actually chunk out about 180. No, not 180. 120, let's say, give or take, on the Caitlyn. That's actually gonna... Blue team's actually gonna recall and recoup their mana and recoup their health. There's an Oracle Lens purchase from the Nunu. He is going to start the game with the red trinket. I'm not too much of a jungle aficionado, so I can't comment on the validity or efficiency of this play. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for now. I would certainly like to try to refrain from speaking too much on matters of which I am uninformed. It's going to be a good leash from both sides, and lane will begin normally. Oh, early hook onto the Leona. They're taking the fast way in through the river, but the trades are already starting. Caitlyn's trap start and Blitzcrank with a hook start, actually landing some early damage on the Leona. That's valuable. If you drop the Leona low, deplete her potions early, she's going to find it significantly harder to do trades. If she's sitting back chugging potions, she's not going to be as effective. But then again, it is always Leona. You hit level 3, get each of your skills, and you can just start going in all the time. Kali forced out with an early flash. Nunu making a very early snowball gank after just killing basically his boss side jungle. Apprehend pulling back the nasus. I've said that ability name so many times. It feels like I've been talking about Darius non-stop. Ooh. I mean, people have to realize there are better top laners than Darius, right? Just play someone else. But this game is off to a pretty slow start. No major casualties 3 minutes in. Usually you expect someone has died by now just because, you know, solo queue stuff. But here comes Warwick. He's actually not going to find anything, so he will back off. And go sniff elsewhere in the jungle. So taking a look at some early leads here. Darius is beating Nasus as he ought to do. Shuriken flip actually missed. That's going to be the end of that damage. Diana is going to claim the majority of that wave that's been built up, so she is going to get some of her advantages back. Boomerang Blade clipping Caitlyn twice. The Nunu snowball comes in once again. Akali has no flash. She's hiding in the shroud, but for how long? She's just stalling for the Warwick, but Diana falls so low. She is actually going to get the first blood. Shuriken flip goes back in on the Nunu. Nunu has to blow his own flash. Warwick has no flash and Akali has no flash, so they will not follow. And Nunu walks away with his life. He has Aftershock. Is that right? This is a genuine question. Is that right? You can only proc it by landing 3 snowballs and there's them still being in your E. That is your only CC, I think. Snaring them with a snowball. Or oh wait, no. Nunu has a W. What am I talking about? I'm high. I'm so high. Okay, ignore everything I just said in the past 30 seconds. I scrub it out if I could. For some reason, I completely blanked out on the fact that the biggest snowball ever is a massive CC when it lands. I guess it's because I've seen so many Predator Nunus nowadays that seeing Aftershock actually shocked me. Predator Nunu is just the build you run. It's a legitimate build, but it's also one of those builds you do for fun because you can just go so fast with Snowball. And it's really fun to roll it in. But I'll be perfectly honest. I definitely blanked out there. That was completely on me. Hook going to miss. That's a field goal. And now Blitzcrank gonna get stunned up. However, both sides do have Aftershock. They both expire at the same time. Leon is still in the back line, but Sivir steps on a trap. Caitlyn walks up. One step too far forward. Flash from the Leona. The sword will finish her off. And Sivir running away from the scary robot man, but she's going to run right into a Yeti. Giant snowball crashing in. Easy kill picked up by the Nunu. That is going to be a 1-for-1 with both AD carries dying at the end of the day, and both picking up 1 assist. However, the CS differential here means that Caitlyn has to settle with Pickaxe Dagger, and Sivir comes back with a much superior, in terms of stats, BF Sword. Shuriken Flip does land on the Diana. She tries to return fire, but it does diddly squat against Akali. Her lane is not shaping up to go that well, but Nunu going for a very cheeky solo onto the Drake 6 minutes in. He is going to get it, unless Warwick, he actually spots him out. Early smite, he does have the consume. Will he consume it in time? No! Oh, the leash goes over clearly to the Warwick. I think Nunu panic smited that early. And I do think that was in the wrong order, because you do want to consume first. You can still cast smite if you're crowd controlled, but you're certainly can't consume when you're being feared away. But regardless, he does lose that dragon after working so hard to kill off like 60% of it. Warwick just comes in for a cleanup and grabs the Drake on top of that. Tragic play for the Nunu. It's just up to his mental now to see if he can withstand that devastating loss. Oh, the fight's gonna begin anew. Oh no, that is just further insult onto injury. Warwick smites away the scuttle without any further contest and just walks away. And all Nunu did really was just watch him leave. That can't feel good when your enemy has just taken 2 objectives from you under your nose. He is heavily getting out-farmed by the Warwick in the CS department as well. But, you know, it's Nunu. He's just a beefy tank ball. Ghost does get popped. It's going to speed him through the Wither. But so far, Darius is on the losing end of this trade. Spiritfire cutting his armor so much. Flashing away from the Decimate, denying Darius the healing. But Warwick has made his way down. So Nasus, using his ultimate still, will just focus on getting out. Warwick does channel his recall. And now the lane goes back to normal. Darius still has Guillotine, Noxian Guillotine. And Nasus doesn't have his ultimate. But Akali following a Diana all the way into the lane. Shuriken flip does connect onto her, but Akali does not flip in. She's just going to let the Diana go, knowing that she can't really do that much damage to a top lane. And now both mid laners return to mid after a very weird rally race in the river. The blast cone gets killed. Silver jumps to the other side of the wall. Boomerang blade coming in. 2-man snare from the snowball, but that is not enough to save the Nunu. He will die for the second time this game. Zenith's blade goes out onto the Caitlyn. Leona is burning down to the ignite. She will die, but she will take the entirety of blue team with him. 3 members fall in the river. Most of it going actually to the mid laner and 1 to the AD carry. Diana's being chased. Shuriken flip. That's very ambitious. That's not gonna hit. Darius has actually picked up a very early Executioner's Calling to cut the Nasus healing. So he really wants to go for some kills. He wants to go in prolonged trades, which he will win handily. He's Darius, let's be real. Nasus can't really lifesteal against that, but here comes the Nunu. He has found his target, but the snowball is a little bit too wide of an angle. It will not hit him. Darius can just walk away. Warwick top up to take a 1v2, but mid lane there is a solo kill. Darius flashes away on dot health. Nobody on blue team actually blew a summoner for that, but Darius will have to use his flash to get out. Nunu still has his, so you can still use it. I do think that is a smart play though, to not flash in and overgreed for the Darius. He can always turn on you and kill you. Leona's hiding in the alcoves. I'm not sure blue team knows that she's there. She's just been hiding in there for the longest time. Sivir has made her way back to lane, and now Blitzcrank engages so far forward. Leona is not in position. The rocket grab gets spell shielded, and here comes a very angry Sun Lady going onto the Caitlyn. She gets rooted in place. Shield of Daybreak is not used anymore, but it doesn't matter. Leona takes that 1 kill. Solar Flare drops onto the Blitzcrank. He is now stunned up, completely alone. There are minions helping him beat up Sivir, but Sivir does damage a little bit faster. Beautiful 2v2. Playing the long con, hiding that alcove, paying off in dividends. Caitlyn gets her 3rd death. This 2v2 pattern is just not paying off. But here comes Diana. Shield of Daybreak actually connects with her through the Lunar Rush. So she actually tackles into the Sivir and stood still. Long enough for Sivir to get away, but for how long? The bullet comes in from the Caitlyn, dropping her to critical health once again. This snowball just needs to connect. It does. And the snowball barrage finishes off the Sivir for a shutdown. However, not the biggest of worries. Sivir has gone back and finished Essence Reaver and is also very close to completing Berserker Greaves as well. Very, very far ahead in items, super early on in the game, so that is always good to see. Akali being dragged back by the Moonfall. She is hiding in the shroud. She ducks out of it, and now she has to walk away, but her movement patterns are so predictable, she has to use her flash to get away. They were just camping on top of her body if she doesn't do anything about that. But she is also doing quite well for herself. 300, 71 CS to 49. Diana going for Rod of Ages or Abyssal Mask, one of the two. And she only has a Catalyst to her name. But blue team is actually going to take this small window to secure the Drake. But is that window as small as they think? Because here comes the Warwick on the side. He's actually scratching away at a ward. And 2 members of blue team will drive him back. Blue team secures the dragon, but top lane Darius gets another scuffle with the Nasus. Nasus is actually dunking him super hard. The half Q cooldown paying off there. Multiple Sheen procs killing off the Darius before he can really react. With only a Phage and the Executioners, he's no match for the Shroud and the Sheen. Especially when Nasus has twice the amount of siphoning strikes that he normally would be able to output, since he has Fury of the Sands running. That's what it's called, right? Yes. And Leona Moby Boost ready. Zenith's Blade hits onto her pretty much from Rack's range, but she flashes away from the Boomerang Blade. However, it only saves her for a fraction of a second. Mid lane, Akali has killed Diana yet again, and now this Blitzcrank is also burning down. How does a robot burn? We don't know either. He will luckily not die to the ignite, but the Warwick is here. He wants to dive. He doesn't have his ultimate, but he could always flash in and scream at the Warwick, scream at the Blitzcrank until he decides to leave. The flash scream does connect, and Warwick picks up a very good solo kill. The snowball connects onto the wall, And Akali gets a free plate and gets to walk away scot-free. And Nunu, his ankles are being broken by her. Plates are being pillaged away at bot lane as well. Let's take a look at the plate advantage here for both sides. Top lane has 5 plates against 3. nasus is actually out pushing the Darius significantly. Mid lane is 2 plates to 0. Bot lane 3 plates to 0. So plate game heavily favoring red team. Trying to make up for their deadweight Darius that's just losing the lane to a nasus. Decimate comes out once again. nasus still wants to fight the Darius, and Darius appears have not learned his lesson. He's just gonna get dunked over and over. nasus picks up kill number 2. Ninja Tabai, just making him basically immune to the Darius for now. That is an inspirational puppy if I've ever seen one. Destroying the Darius player. Darius now, he's actually still going for the Triforce, having just picked up the dagger for the Stinger. I don't think at this point he can justify going that anymore. The first turret in the cruel twist of fate falls to blue team due to having secured a Herald and due to Darius being just complete dead weight. But bot lane, red team wants to look for another play. The boomerang finishes off the Blitzcrank. Akali shows up. Can she make a difference? Doesn't look like it. Diana is coming in to reinforce Absolute Zero, trapping her until she uses perfect execution to get out. She Qs backwards, 5-point strike hitting the air, so Nunu gets a 700 gold shutdown. Unfortunate mechanical mistake for the Akali, and she will surrender herself to the mercy of the enemies. But the 3-man push bot lane coming strong. Unfortunately, not the first turret of the game, but they will only have to take the first tower as consolation. They didn't even get that last plate because it has worn off. Blitzcrank has returned. He pulls a minion somehow among a crowd of 4 people, 3 of which are champions. And he hits the one guy that wasn't the champion. And he's just going to let them all walk free. Red team walks away. Dragon's not up for another 2 minutes. They will not be able to secure anything. Darius is out farming nasus, to be perfectly fair to him. And nasus right now is actually going Spirit Visage because, you know, he doesn't even acknowledge this Darius anymore. Darius still has yet to build anything super impressive. And really, at this point, just abandon Trinity Force. You just go for Cleaver. You just need to stay alive now against nasus. You can't let him get any bigger than he already is. Top tower is gone. He can he is in a prime position to just kill additional towers if you let him to. Darius just needs to survive. He can't hope to outtrade. Bot lane, Caitlyn will help herself to some Krugs. She really needs income. It's 15 minutes in. She has Berserker Greaves just to stay alive, and it's not really paying off. And she doesn't have her Infinity Edge complete. And Sivir is already working on her second major AD item. Whew, Sivir so far eclipsing the Caitlyn. It's not even funny. And mid lane too is also like the same story being written. Diana just now securing Rod of Ages. It doesn't even have a single stack yet. It's going to take them 10 more minutes for that Rod to become full power. A little bit of a fun fact about the Rod. We'll talk about that later, but right now Diana's going to get a jump down. Leona Solar Flare from long distance connects onto Diana beautifully dead center, and she will be taken down. Rod of Ages takes out 1 stack. So I'm working with older data here. The item itself may have been changed since then, but this, oh my god, this dog. Noxian Guillotine is already committed. He does have Soul Stealer, but he doesn't actually use it in time, so Darius claims the counter kill. nasus is very close to actually getting a 1v2 there, which is scary to even think about, because now you have to actually contribute additional resources top. Darius went for the Stinger. Oh no, he's actually doing it. Oh, it's going to be far too late for him to finish his Triforce, and even when he does get it, it's not going to be the magical item that will save him against nasus, not by a long shot. Sivir, the actually spell shield so early, a single Nunu Barrage eats all of it, and the slow tick of the red buff burns her down. 2 for nothing. Disastrous fight for red team in the river. Akali now has to get out by herself, but the sweeper sees, oh, she is being trapped up, she is knocked up, and she has to flash away from her shroud yet again. Wow, I couldn't even talk for a sec, but that flash hook securing that kill. 3 for 0 in the river. Amazing series of catches by the blue team. Red team suffering from a series of unfortunate movements and executions. Drops 3 for nothing, and red team loses this dragon on top of that as extra insult to injury. So let's talk about Rod of Ages, as I promised. I'm working with slightly older data. I'm sure the numbers have since changed, but I think the general idea stays the same. The last time I had solid numbers for Rod of Ages is that this item is about 85% or 88% gold efficient when you first buy it. But 10 minutes later, having stacked it up to full, it reaches like 130 something efficiency, which is crazy for an AP item. Most other AP items are actually below gold efficiency. At least this was the case back a few years ago. Mages will spend a lot of money and not get the equal amount of AP in return. Most of the items, let's say aside from Death Cap, but even then, Death Cap is crazily expensive. And most of Death Cap's value actually comes from its passive anyway. So things like Zanya's, right, it's not 100% gold efficient. But the stasis active more than makes up for it. And that's kind of the general trend with most mage items in the game. But Rod of Ages is a clear distinction. It is over 130% efficient, which is just a crazy amount if you stack it up. But the problem is, you gotta stack it up. And for a Diana, this item won't even be ready until 25 minutes in. I'm not even talking about this fight because it's just nasus slapping people until he drops. But now reinforcements are actually coming in. Nunu is trying to survive in the middle of 3 people. Caitlyn comes in. She gets her second kill of the game, picking up Darius. But in the meantime, Sivir making dents into the mid T1. She is going to join this fight. It is a bit slow, but Leona has turned. Maybe a little bit too early. Moonfall drags back the Akali. The Ignite will finish her off. And now Leona is stranded by herself. She will also die. Once again, terrible series of fights being picked by the red team. Their ADC was split pushing mid, and yet the rest of their team opted into this massive unwinnable fight, just allowing blue team's reinforcements to come in faster than they can. Having committed their ADC and Diana killing off the Akali first, means that red team has lost all of their damage core, which means that the turn that they've attempted is doomed to fail from the start. And fail it did. They've only picked up 2 kills actually. One has already respawned when the fight ended, and they drop 4 members in return. Herald 2 gets picked up by the blue team as well. Diana gets ulted on by the Warwick. That's not a very clever use of his ultimate. And now he's getting chased down by 5 people of blue team. That is so scary with a Blitzcrank in the center. But he is actually going to whiff his hook. So no harm done. However, they are now beginning a push. Diana is going to recall. She doesn't have teleport up. So this is likely just going to be a very awkward reset. If red team catches onto this, they can actually come in and make up a pick. Sivir pops her ultimate. She wants blood and she's sniffing it out. Leona walking on top of Spiritfire actually disables Moby Boots. So they lose the chase, even with the Sivir ultimate ticking. 3 members of blue team didn't make it back to base, but it doesn't matter. They are very far out of range. Akali is going for a very distant flank, but can she actually find one? Nasus gets found by the Sivir, and now Caitlyn cancels her recall. But on the boss side, Akali gets spotted out by a ward. She has to get out. Shuriken flip lands. Oh no, don't take the Shuriken. You step into like 2 traps. But she gets withered. She doesn't have her cloud. Oh, she does have her cloud. She puts it down. She needs to get out of it. She gets rooted. Absolute Zero gets immediately cancelled. Apprehend. Doesn't poke Caitlyn over the wall. Oh, but Akali flips over regardless. Perfect execution through the entire team. Nasus is low. He's chasing around the Akali, but in the middle of the team fight, Sivir has killed off the Diana, and she is moving on to the rest of the tank core. Nasus easily finishes out the Akali. That 1 Q taking out like 500 Sivir health. And now Warwick, stranded and alone, he is going to die. Leaving just the red team bot lane. They are the Fend members. Can they actually turn this? They're fighting 2 very beefy tanks. The Nunu taking absolutely no damage. The Blitzcrank Cook whips from afar. Sivir walks up a little bit. She gets rooted in place. But it also means like Leona can die back in and kill off the Blitzcrank. Amazing team fight in general. Red team actually picks up a win. Having preserved their ADC for the entire duration of the fight, which guess what, wins you team fights. That is going to be a 4 for 3. The engage started off a little bit messy, but it still kind of worked out in the end, just because red team's cores managed to stay alive for the entirety of it, which hasn't been the theme for the past 2 fights, but they finally found a moment that's favorable to them. Rod of Ages takes up stack number 7. 3 more minutes until it's an item. Oh dear. I'm not ripping on Rod of Ages. It's a good item. I don't want to come off as saying, oh, Rod of Ages is trash. It's certainly not. Akali going to sure can flip over, but she finds herself in the middle of the entire blue team. She is going to have to try to get away. Perfect execution gets through the Nasus. Nasus in the dead center of Solar Flare. He is getting CC down, but can he get bursted down? Yes, he can. Noxian Guillotine claims that kill. A second one kills off the Diana. Akali is very low, and she's fighting a full health Nunu. Decimate will miss the swing. Warwick is still here. He doesn't have his ultimate, and Leona does not have hers either. They can't go for further engages, but maybe they can force them to come to red team by their own volition, so they are going to start the Inferno Drake. Blue team deploys Rift Herald at mid lane, but that is not a good moment. Red team has the rotation. They have the inside track on their own lane, so they are just going to walk back and stop this Herald. It gets one charge, but that is all. All it does is really evens up the tower count of the game. It was not an assistant push. Blue team can't possibly back up that Herald. And now Leona Moby boost at the ready. Jumps in onto the Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank tries to flash away, but it only buys him a fraction of a second. Caitlyn trying to dole out traps as fast as she can, but she cannot lay down enough DPS. Nunu rolls a giant snowball in. He is going to let it go. It will crash into two. It's going to buy him a little bit of time, but where's blue team's members? They don't have anyone here to do damage. Moonfall is not ready for the Diana. She cannot fight this. The AoE is just not there. They will now be rejoined by the Nasus, but they can't force anything here. They will have to call it off. Nunu actually finds a few boomerangs and eats a raptor to get away. And now Nasus is going to go back top, take care of his tower. The game will continue, seemingly with both teams embracing the power of ARAM, just going mid over and over. The next objective to be looked at is Baron, and now it's up to the best interest of both teams to secure Baron Nashor. And taking a look at the word count, blue team's word count is simply pitiful all around the map. Red team has sweepers at the ready. They have the ways to lock down the vision, but not if Leona gets caught here. She gets rooted. Solar Flare onto 2. She pops a stone plate to buy herself a little bit of extra health, but is that going to be enough? No, the headshot will kill her off. Warwick flashes and pounces in. Darius is on the back dealing damage as well, but Sivir is being picked off by the puppy. The dog will still chase after her, and he will now circle around, but now he finds himself in the 1v3. The rest of his team has died all around him. He is now running away from the entirety of red team, but blue team Diana comes in. Moonfall kills off 2. Now Nasus finding backup. He is bold and brave. He wants more. The Iceborne Gauntlet is throwing double trap. Caitlyn from beyond the grave setting up a pick onto the Warwick. He has no way out, and Diana kills him off. Now it's just the Akali. Does she have the tools to escape? She still has perfect execution. She can use it to get out if she needs to. Sure can flip enough to dissuade any further pursuit. Blue team picks up a very favorable team fight just because everybody on red team abandoned their AD carry to a Nasus, which I'll let you think how that will normally play out. He is going to stack even more. How many stacks is he at? He is at 459. I would say slightly below par for 26 minutes into the game, but he also didn't have the most stellar farming experience, so I'll give him a pass. It is enough to make major dents into pretty much everyone on red team, so really that's what you're looking at. You don't really check the number, you just check how much impact he is making, and right now he is absolutely terrorizing the otherwise extremely fed AD carry. The Sivir desperately needs protection against his Nasus, and Nasus can just kill her off in like 2 hits. Sivir has actually picked up Phantom Dancer as well as her own Executioner's Calling. Very interested in cutting the healing, the plethora of healing actually on the top and jungle of blue team. Very good niche item to buy. Purchased over what would have been a QSS actually. Oh, Akali standing on a ward. She will get pulled in. She jumps out of her own cloud, but the Wither will connect. Leona is here to save her though. The stun goes off on the Warwick, but these are just mini stuns now to him. Even with the Ninja Tabai, he is not giving up on this kill. The bullet comes in, kills off the Akali. Moonfall grabs onto 2. The assassins jumping onto the back. Sivir has to try to get out. The Warwick pounces in from the side a million miles an hour. He kills off the Blitzcrank. Absolute Zero locking up the team. The entire tank core is falling very low. Decimate will not heal him up enough. Warwick falls. Darius is next, and Leona flashes in with a stone plate popped. Caitlyn will actually shoot down both Sivir and Leona. Sivir walked too far forward and stepped on a trap. That is going to be a 5-for-2 in favor of blue team, somehow miraculously pulling teamfight after teamfight out of their hat. We can actually analyze a little bit of how this teamfight went. Not good. It all started when the Kali got caught, and the rest of her team was just kind of hurrying in to save her. So Leona actually early engaged onto the Nasus, which means that she blew all of her CC. So when the rest of the blue team arrived, they just kind of ran over them. The Diana Moonfall forced everyone on red team back, and when the rest of the red team reinforcements began to trickle in, it was a more organized version, but still a one at a time strategy regardless, as the tank core just got shredded by absolute zero, as well as just Caitlyn free hitting in the back. Red team couldn't possibly output enough to keep their tanks alive in time. That's going to be the end of that. Warwick just turned the brain off. This is why you don't turn your brain off. Leona is also going to barge in wide open. Solar Flare hits onto nothing. That is a very ambitious Leona ultimate, and she will be the next victim. Red team picks up Dragon and gets 2 kills basically donated to them into the palm of their hands. That cannot possibly be the correct play. With no jungler and no support, which is now the primary source of all of red team CC actually, red team is going to be very hard pressed to actually find a way to contest this Baron. I got a Steam message. I just replied to that Steam message. I'm going to get another one pretty soon, so don't mind that ping noise. There it is. Don't worry about that. That is just my own Steam. The dunk, not enough. Darius falls. He is the only one. Blue team, it is a pretty slow Baron. Oh no, Warwick is already dead. Why are you jumping in? Oh no, no, don't be like that. No. No, oh Leona, no. Oh Sivir, oh no. Oh. Oh, you should have surrendered when you had the chance. Oh, that was painful. That cannot be an organized call. And now Akali, she is the 5th victim. She is found in her own shell. She will kill off the robot, but at what cost? Perfect execution cleans up the Caitlyn. Oh, Akali trying desperately to not actually lose this game outright. She will kill off the AD carry, but what is there left to defend? Nunu will roll in on her. He is just so tanky. She doesn't care. Shuriken flip connects onto a minion. She will flip back onto it. These Baron minions are so hard to kill for the Akali. And now Diana comes back. She is mad. She is angry. She wants this kill. Warwick runs in. Flash Sphere. But they don't have enough damage. This Nunu can just walk away for free. And the Diana, she is stranded. And she will die. That reinforcement will get Nunu out at her own life in exchange. The scratch also comes in for the Nunu yet again. Blue team fortunately finds a 4-for-0 on the back end. If they kill off this Nasus, that will be the last of the Baron buffs. They will no longer have a Baron buff. Warwick gets in. He has to intercept the Blast Cone. He does. Silver picks up the shutdown kill on the Nasus. Whew, 5-for-0. Brilliant defense by red team actually. Blue team extended a little bit too far, and they tried to do solo pushes all over the place, which just allowed them to be picked off one after another. Credits there to the Akali for making the hero play, assassinating Blitzcrank and Caitlyn before the fight began. That play actually stopped the blue push and actually saved their inhibitors. So Baron buff entirely wiped out of the map, and their inhibitors are safe. Blue team did not take an inhibitor with their Baron buff, and this is important because all of the advantages that they may have gained with Baron Nashor has just been fully negated. As far as the game gold is concerned, this is a dead even game, which is fortunate for red team to still have this game state after throwing team fight after team fight away. But the momentum is not with them. Even though the Baron Nashor is no longer a factor in play, blue team has still consistently won these fights just by forcing red team into taking horrible dive-ins to salvage what objectives that they have secured. As long as they keep up their map pressure and their momentum, they will just continuously force red teams to make even dumber and dumber mistakes. And for red team, that time is running out. Every time you lose one of these fights, a significant chunk of your own infrastructure gets taken out. And they don't have a lot of buildings left. If they get killed off again, that is the end of the game. With or without Baron, gold lead or gold evenness, be damned. It will be the end for sure. They need to play this next fight so smartly, but the Drake's soul is on the line, and given how blindly they dove in just for the third dragon, you can bet that the kitchen sink will be committed for this as well. Nasus shows his face. They just need to send one guy down to the solo, and red team will get antsy and engaged, because that's just how their jungler seems to play this game. No regard for his own safety, even at the expense of everybody else. It's okay for junglers to be sacrificial. It's not okay for the sacrifice to demand the rest of his team be dragged down with him. That defeats the purpose of a sacrifice. And now, blue team coming in, going for the Drake. They have the inside track, they have priority on it. There is a Scuttle War scouting them out, so blue team has some reassurance that they probably can't start the Drake with red team watching them, but as soon as that Scuttle goes away, it's all fair game. But a good cook onto the Darius. He finds himself onto street. Decimate buys him a little bit of time. Ignite is taking on him. He will actually get out. The tank cores are falling though. Red team damage is not there. The perfect execution kills off the Caitlyn. That is the backline damage gone. The Diana dive also fails so far. A 2 for 2. But critically, the red team AD carry still alive. Leona will be the next victim. She is just falling so low. However, that might be the end of their damage. Nasus is still massive. He doesn't have a flash to actually close that gap onto the Sivir. Sivir will flash away, but a very angry dog. He has so much damage left in him still. The Shuriken flip, they will buy Akali a little bit of time. She's Zayas in her own shroud. Sivir finally comes back around the corner for the re-engage. She wants to kill off the Nasus. That is the only damage she have left. Blitzcrank will die to collateral damage, and now Sivir, one more boomerang, kills off the Nasus. And Nunu, with basically one auto's worth of health remaining, has to run away. Sivir cleaning up the back end of that team fight, scavenging this fight. Is she going to go for this kill on the Nunu? Or will she secure the dragon? I think the call is to secure the dragon. You don't want to waste time looking for him. You have to try to take it here. She's going to wait on the pit. And now she's going to start it. Can she kill it in time? There's no jungler there. The jungler is so far away. He will actually make his way here now. Blue team reinforcement will not get here in time. So they have the reassurance that the soul has been delayed. In fact, that is now 6 dragons killed this game. No matter what happens, the next elemental drake will be the last before Elder spawns. Baron Nashor up in 25. And red team actually has the jump on this. They will make it to the pit first. Sivir helps herself to red buff. Critically important. She desperately needs this to kite off the Nasus harder and harder. She's actually working on Blade of the Rune King, it seems like. Yep, and she does get it, which is a good choice. You want to be able to steal away some of Nasus' move speed and give it back to yourself. It is critically important to get away with, to use to get away from him. The problem for red team is always still the Caitlyn, actually. You can't always count the Akali getting a perfect execution to assassinate the Caitlyn, especially when the team fight gets so messy. But enough about that. Nasus is going to dive in, but he's taking so much damage. He's being stunned up. Moonfall chunks the Sivir to half, but Sivir will kill off the Diana. And now there's a how hell breaks loose in the middle. Caitlyn gets assassinated by perfect execution. So forget what I said earlier. It's actually super easy to kill off this Caitlyn because she can't position. And this is an ace. And out of nowhere, red team gets this ace. The cluster of tanks and mid lane actually survived all of blue team's AoE, and they lived to tell another day. And they actually started this fight in proximity of a Sivir, which is great news for the Sivir because you can just start freeing it immediately. So the tanks of blue team melting like butter, and Caitlyn walking a little bit too far forward and just gets killed off by Akali, probably as collateral damage, honestly. I don't even think Akali was aiming for her. But that is going to be the GG push. Beautiful team fight, salvaging the game from red team. Definitely making up for the series of unfortunate team fight engages.